Let's take a look at creating a thumbnail storyboard for our video on deepfakes. What we see here on the screen is a PowerPoint presentation. We're looking at a bunch of individual slides. Each slide has one scene from the video. So what we'll do is use this format to be able to come up with ideas that are going to be for visuals for each of the scenes. So let's go ahead and dive in to slide 2. So this scene has, this is the very start of the video. So we're bringing the user into a situation that they will probably find familiar. The script says, imagine your parents receiving a phone call that sounds exactly like you. Your voice says that you've had an accident and need them to send money immediately. So first line here is, I imagine your parents receiving a phone call. So we're just going to do some quick sketches. I'm seeing maybe a couple of people here. Maybe there's someone on a phone and maybe the phone is a something like this, and there's a talk bubble that says there's been an accident, you need money. Maybe the other parent here puts their hands on their head like, oh no. And so that sounds exactly like you. So maybe there could even be a talk bubble that shows a picture of them thinking that it's you. And maybe send money immediately. So that might be, you know, a dollar bill or something, and we show it moving. So again, generating ideas, just thinking about what could be here. So the next scene here is they're worried and follow your instructions. The problem is that it's not you, it's a scam. So probably keep the same people here, and they're worried. Maybe this is where they put their hands on their heads. Oh no, what do we do? You know, there's some instructions, and then so maybe we do check marks here to show, okay, I followed the instructions. And then maybe we go back to this talk bubble or this thought bubble here and say maybe they think it's you, but what's actually happening is it's a scammer. So maybe we show someone in sort of like the striped bandit kind of idea, and maybe we have these kind of switch places to show that these people are thinking it's you, but it's actually a scam. So from here, we can go to the next scene here. All right, so the next scene says, using powerful computers and software, it's now possible to create audio or video versions of you that can even fool your loved ones. So now we're kind of getting to the anchor here of what this is really about. So computers and software. So, you know, powerful computers are often kind of like, you know, this kind of thing. It could be a different, you know, it could just be a laptop, or maybe a laptop hooked to something like that. Software can be something on the screen here. So to create audio or video of versions that sound like you. So we need to be able to visualize audio and video. So maybe out of this computer comes, you know, something that looks like an audio file, maybe. And then maybe something that looks like a video file with a play button here. And that maybe we use the same picture of you here that, you know, that's this picture of you, and that can fool your loved ones. So maybe the parents are here, you know, pointing at this. So we have the computers, we have them creating this media, this new media that's audio and video, and that is represented by you. It looks like you, and then your parents are seeing that. So from there, let's go to the next scene. Okay, now we're thinking about another version of this idea of deepfakes. We're now changing the context to say, or imagine a video of your favorite artist saying and doing things that are completely out of character. And so now we are thinking of, maybe there's a tablet with a video on it of your favorite star. And because this is really small, let's maybe we blow this out a little bit so it's bigger. And then we have, the person here talking on a microphone maybe, and they're saying things that are really not, you wouldn't expect them to say. We won't worry about the words right now, but we're kind of representing someone watching a video. So maybe, or imagine a video of your favorite artist saying things, and then maybe there's a person pointing like, oh gosh, what is happening? Why is this happening? This is weird. And I think a lot of people experience that now. So we're just kind of reminding people of the scenario that can happen. And then now we're really getting into this anchoring of the video where we say, these are examples of deepfakes. They are computer-generated versions of people that look and sound like the real thing, but are not. So we have basically two scenarios here. We have the parents on the phone, and then we have the video of an artist doing something that doesn't seem right. And so they are computer-generated versions of people that look like the real thing, looked and sound like the real thing, but are not. So maybe we need to think about that for a second. So computer-generated versions of people that look and sound like they're not. So maybe we just use a computer here, and then we have something happening on here, and then maybe there's this sort of version of you, and there's the version of the artist here, and then maybe look and sound like the real thing, but are not. So maybe we kind of do the cross through it. I don't know, that's a little bit hard. So for now, I'm just going to leave this where it is because we're trying to move through and keep the momentum going as we think about these different options. So from here, we can move across and look at the next two scenes. So deepfakes are a growing threat that everyone should know about. We probably maybe we should do this on the other one too, but we probably should, have a name here so people can see it on the screen. Deepfakes are a growing threat that everyone should know about. And then, maybe we look online and see what the actual data are about this. But for now, I'm going to think about some kind of graph maybe that shows, the growth of deepfakes going up, and that everyone should know about. Maybe we could have an audience of people here, pointing at this. Just a few words. We don't need a lot to happen on this scene. So the next scene here is, here's how it works. Deepfake creators use existing videos and images of a person to create a fake version that looks, sounds, and moves like the real version. These versions can do or say anything imaginable. And so now we're thinking about deepfake creators. So we need a way to kind of symbolize them in the video that we can come back to. Something we've done a lot is to, have a person here and kind of give them the stripes of what we kind of think of as a criminal here. Maybe they even have some kind of weird hat on or something, but basically maybe a little sneer, whatever. But basically we want to develop a visual symbol of deepfake creators. And they use existing videos and images of a person to create a fake version. And so now an existing image, where do they get that? They probably get it from the internet, from social media. And so maybe we kind of think about that being, on a web browser here. And maybe there's a photo of a person here. Maybe there's a video. Maybe there's some audio happening in the web browser. And so maybe they grab this information from the internet, presuming it's something like social media. It could be a picture of any of us, and sort of drag it into the computer, assuming that this is the sort of computer that's being used to create the deepfake, and it moves. Let's see, to create a fake version that looks, sounds, and moves like the real person. These versions can do or say anything imaginable. So I think what's happening here is there's too many words for this one scene. So I'd probably break this up into a couple of scenes. For now, I think you'd have the person here, saying something unexpected, maybe moving their hands, to kind of show that these images that the deepfake creators get can be manipulated by them. Let's move on to number 9. Okay, so now we are looking at the 9th scene here. The risks are widespread. So we're talking about risks now. So let's go ahead and maybe we have the risks here on the screen. And in politics, leaders may appear to say things that go against their policies or advocate for harmful actions. So we all can kind of think of maybe there being a podium or a lectern here. Maybe there's a person that's saying things here, and then they're saying things here. So we want to have some talk bubbles that say something. I'm not sure what's going to say right now, but again, just laying out the scene, thinking about what could be here. I think a leader saying something that, I am for war, or whatever it is. We'll figure that out. But I think that in terms of the video and explaining deepfakes, this is one of the risks: is society, democracy. All these things depend on information that is at risk when someone can make a national world leader say something that they didn't actually say. So in other cases, deepfakes can ruin reputations and cause chaos. That's our next version here. So we'll probably continue to have risks here. Can ruin reputations and cause chaos. So this kind of makes me think of like a down, not very good, but down, thumbs down, maybe arrow down, something like that, and cause chaos. I just think of craziness here. Maybe I'll think about that a little bit more. But again, just a few words. We don't really need a lot to happen there. So let's go ahead and move over to the next 2 here. So if you're concerned about deepfakes being made of you, consider what you share online and on the phone. Deepfake creators need a starting point, like a video of you talking. So if you're concerned about deepfakes being made of you, let's see, concern is a word, maybe avoid. Be careful what you share online. So maybe this is someone, talking, looking at their phone, and maybe there's a message that kind of maybe goes up to the cloud. That is a picture, it's a video, whatever it is, but this is kind of posting to the internet is what we're basically visualizing here. And then maybe the deepfake creator, again with the stripes, is maybe able to reach out and grab this and put it into the deepfake computer to manipulate it. So again, just reiterating that this risk is real, and this is the mechanism. This is what happens: is the deepfake creators find video and photos online that they can then manipulate. This is a very common thing. It's become very easy to do. And unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do to stop them from grabbing what we put on the internet, unless we just don't use the internet anymore. And that's not really realistic. So now for number 12, we're continuing on. So I'm going to just call this avoid, and then say two-factor keep your computer updated and use two-factor authentication to prevent intruders from accessing your media. So this is just good computer hygiene, I would say, but it does help. So let's say that this is your computer, and this is an update maybe. So that's coming in, and then we need to signify two-factor authentication. So maybe we have a login screen here, and then on the phone we have a login screen, and then maybe there's a check mark here, and then maybe there's a code box here that basically once a code's in, then we're authenticating in two different points, and that just helps people helps the deepfake creators from being able to access what we put online as easily, or get into our photos, get into our private information that might have what they need. So now let's go to number 13. So we're still in this kind of avoiding problems issue. We're going to change the focus here a little bit to talk about a practice that the viewer can do to avoid problems. And so the script here says, to protect loved ones, create a code word that's not discoverable online and only they know. So we can kind of go back to the parents here, and maybe there's you here, and maybe there's a talk bubble here that, has the code here. And so we're establishing that it's a shared code that's not online. And then the next scene is this way. If you get a suspicious call asking for money, they can ask for the code word to ensure it's you. And so this is kind of addressing that initial scene of, the parents getting a phone call here, and then there being, a creator, a deepfake creator here on the phone, and then them saying to them, what's the code word? And presumably, the deepfake creator is sad because they don't know what the code word is and they can't continue with this practice. So a little window into a practice that the viewer can do to help protect loved ones. So let's move to the next one. All right, so now in the 15th scene here, as an internet user, awareness is important. We can no longer assume that every video is 100% real, and there are no easy ways to tell the difference. So again, we're reiterating, deepfakes happen. They fool us very easily these days, and we just have to be aware. Everyone has to be aware that whatever we see on a browser, on a phone, anywhere online, whatever is happening here may not be real. So, maybe this says awareness, and we can no longer assume. And so this could be someone thinking here, maybe, or maybe like pointing. And then maybe they're thinking like real. And then, just enough to show the viewer. So one of the points that I think is important in this process is thinking that the explanation, the thing that people really get from this video is happening in the words that are spoken in the voiceover. And that's what's written. The visuals are supporting the voiceover or the subtitles. And that means that the visuals don't have to be super developed. They just need to make a visual connection with the audience. So next we have solutions may be on the way, and there is growing momentum to make deepfakes illegal. For now, they are a reality of using the internet. So maybe we have our deepfake creator here holding a deepfake here, and maybe when we're talking about deepfakes, let's go back to number 15. Maybe we need a way to symbolize when something is a deepfake versus something that's real. So this could have kind of a glow around it. It could have some kind of marking that indicates that it is a deepfake. So if we did that, then maybe this is a deepfake. And then solutions may be on the way, and there's growing momentum to make deepfakes illegal. So I'm thinking, that sounds like legislation maybe. So maybe we have sort of a Capitol building here, with steps in front and so on. And maybe maybe there's legislation is like a piece of paper, deep fakes, piece of paper, and that leads to, a deep fake with maybe something here being illegal. So maybe there's a big X on it. So starting points is really what we're thinking. From here, it can go in a lot of different directions, but we're really just thinking about starting points. So now let's move over. We're getting close to the end here. And then, again, this is a little bit of a internet hygiene, I would say. The script here says, it's best to remain skeptical, just like consuming news headlines. So, I think that's an important point, is to think of again, maybe we'll do it in a browser, and then the reality of sort of fake news, again, maybe it's a person pointing and thinking, I don't know about that, right? Skeptical, consuming news headlines, because I think that's one of the things that people realize is like, just like deep fakes are fooling people, so are some news outlets have that problem too, and we have to be skeptical of what we see in the news, because the reality is that there are people out there that want to fool us. So the next scene here is, if something seems unrealistic or controversial, do some research before sharing it or forming an opinion. So now let's kind of use the same sort of browser idea. There's something happening here we'll figure out. And then, if a person's thinking about it and says, maybe we show the person on a computer doing research to see if they can understand what's really happening and what is real. A key part of this is doing some research before sharing it or forming an opinion. I think that sharing it is the key point, because things like deep fakes and fake news really only work if they're shared by people who are being fooled. And I think if a goal of this video is to keep them is to help someone think twice before they share something, think, is this a deep fake? Is this fake news? If we can get more people to do that, then I think it can be really helpful. So next thing here is 2 more slides. And it says, look up the name or subject of the video to see if experts have deemed it real or fake. So here again, we kind of have this example of something happening in a browser, and there's a headline here. And in the video, there'll probably be an actual headline that we use here. And then maybe we, select it and then put it into a search engine. We do some research about it and see kind of what is the consensus. Have experts, have actual journalists, have reputable news organizations talked about this, and can we decide if it's real or not, using this method of actually doing some research, checking it out for yourself before sharing it. That's the idea. Now, before we end here, we do take a step back and talk about that, deepfakes are not all bad, that it's a technology that can be used for all kinds of purposes. There are serious risks, but it's not inherent to the technology, it's how it's used. I'll say, deep fakes here can be used for entertainment, humor, or satire. So for now, I'll just think, we'll have, examples of videos here. And what we'll want to show in this scene is that there's something funny happening when we can actually create a deep fake that is meant for entertainment and fun, because that's a risk of talking about something like deepfakes, is it seems like that everything that uses this technology is bad. And I think it's important to let people know that this is a technological advancement that has a lot of potential along with the risks, and that's true in so many cases. So now we're ending up here with this says, however, many deepfake creators want to fool you. And so now we're trying to sum up here at the end that the goal is for them to fool you, right? I would love for the people who watch the video. I would love for the people who watch the video to realize, like, I don't want to be fooled. I don't want to be a fool, be made a fool by these people. And so the deepfake creators maybe are here. We've got the stripes, and then they want to, maybe they're pointing, haha, like, this poor unsuspecting person is a fool. And they want to change your mind. So for now, I'll just put change mind, manipulate, and steal. And so now these are again, reminder of the risk. This is why they're doing this. They want to change your mind, manipulate your ideas, and steal your money. And then reminder again that you and your loved ones are the risk. You are the ones who are the targets for this thing. And then you and your loved ones can stay safe online by being aware of their tactics. And so this part of the script here might actually be a second scene. This is a bit much for here. And that could be, maybe, again, your parents on the phone along with you can stay safe online by being aware of their tactics. So maybe there's kind of a safety bubble here. And then aware of their tactics is the creators, the deepfake creators here. And with that, we've finished the creative process of drafting our thumbnail storyboard. As always, these thumbnail storyboards are really just a starting point. When you're making an explainer video, everything changes all the way through. So there's a very good chance that this storyboard is going to get rearranged, the script is going to change, obviously the visuals will develop, but it's a process, an iterative process where every idea sort of has a chance to get a hold. And if it can get a little toehold, then maybe it can develop into something else. So I'm trying intentionally not to get bogged down in details, not to get concerned about how things look, to just get the process started. And that's true with so many things creative, is the key is getting started. Just get anything that comes to your mind onto these thumbnail storyboards, and you'll see that things start to evolve from there. So if we take a step back, we can see that the storyboard is messy. It doesn't have anything very clear in it, but we can start to get a sense for what the video is going to be from a visual perspective. And the key here is thinking through, okay, we're going to need some figures for the parents. We're going to need some talk bubbles. We're maybe going to need a dollar bill. We're going to need some video players, someone to represent the scammers. And so that's what comes from this process. It's not only a scene-by-scene look at the visuals, but the next step is thinking about those visuals and where are they going to come from? How are we going to create them? How are we going to find them? And that is the next phase that I will share with you as well. Thanks for watching. Happy to help. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.